Hello to everybody. This is our second keynote on the Meet Magento. Last year we were talking about acceptance tests using Selenium and the Menta framework. I don't know if somebody used those frameworks or decided to use Selenium tests after last year Meet Magento. If yes, it's okay. If not, you need to do it. And yeah, this year some kind of different keynote. Last year it was more technical and it was more about the process. This year we decided to talk more about case study, both from the developer side and also from the client side. And yeah, the topic, migration from the SaaS. It's, I think, a very important topic, especially that the Magento is still growing each year and we're taking new development e-commerces and a lot of people is incoming from the SaaS e-commerces, and that's why this is a big issue for us, especially for developers and especially for the client, to have correct process that is quite successful. So, okay, this is our topic. And we are from Macopedia. This is a Polish company. We're working in the 3 cities in Poland. We are big open source lovers. That's why all software that we made is based on the open source software. Also with additional enterprise licenses, just like Magento, or just like the other type of free is only in the open source licenses. And that's why we are working also with Magento. This is like the e-commerce based softwares, type of free. This is big CMS and portals and custom applications development. And also last year we decided to also to have the ERP systems based on the open source software to have the correct working full environment. Like there's e-commerce with the ERP, with the warehouse management, and everything is talking together, and this is a very good thing for our clients. And today I would like to talk about our newest development. This is Mostrami.pl. It was launched like 2 weeks ago, one week ago, so this is quite new thing. And why this is so important? Mostrami is, I think, right now the biggest Polish e-commerce with the fashion with only Polish designers. You know, there's a lot of young designers that they are creating clothes, for example, skirts and everything. And for them, it's really hard to sell those products through the internet because they are small, not known, but they've got cool, nice products. So when people trying to find those products in the internet, they're not looking for especially small designer, like the new designer, but they're looking for the looks. So that's why idea of the Mostrami was to create the big e-commerce, only on the Polish market right now, but they are expanding to other markets with those looks, with those designers. So that's why right now they've got over 100 fashion designers only from Poland. And this is a very nice thing that the small people are creating not only IT startups right now, but they are also creating the fashion startups. And this is the one place where they can sell also their products. And they are also well known from the outside Poland using this e-commerce. So this is a very nice story. This is a short project. I think they started working in 2012 or something like that. But if you look from those 2 years, they expand a lot. So that's why also the market of the Polish designers are also growing still. So you can find in each big malls in Poland like a lot of shops based from the Polish designers. So that's a really nice story. And the one thing, right now they've got over 15,000 products in the e-commerce systems, and that's why you can see that we can say that Polish designers created almost at least 15,000 products. So this is quite a lot. And this was the case. The case was about that they used SaaS platform to start. Of course, this is a good thing for the startup, but like for us, it was a big case. And the first thing we needed to do was the full data migration from the SaaS. Difference, do you know what the difference between SaaS and is very important because normally we have access to, for example, database, we have access to, for example, CSV files or some kind of the ERP. In our situation, we needed to import all things from the SaaS. So only thing is to using the API. And it's not really easy to do it. The client had also some kind of the SaaS limitations, and that's why he chose the Magento for it, because he wanted to grow with Magento to create new features, to making bigger sale, to create the new markets, just like the guys from LPP said about new markets and new regulations on the markets. And that's why he chose the platform that he can also some kind of expand, change, and do a lot of things. Also, like watching at this, like SaaS, it was a problem with the poor backend. It made a lot of problems for the client, and also growing costs without the business value. So the invoice was bigger, and it was harder to implement like new features, because like it was not only this project was based on the SAS. As you can see, for the market, there's a lot of SAS systems right now. On the Polish market, there's a shopper, iSklep, the IAIshop.com. A lot of your possible clients are working right now on those solutions, so we need to think how to do it correctly to move, for example, to Magento or like other platform, but we are here based on the Magento. And also on the outside market, there is a Shopify, Volusion, Big E-commerce, and there's a lot of systems. One thing important for all of the systems, we don't have access to the database actually. So we need to think how to do it. Of course, we can't say that SAS is wrong. It's very good, especially for the startup e-commerces. Yeah? If you're trying to go inside the e-commerce from this as a startup, you don't have the money, for example, for it, so you can't actually create a big platform with everything like that. You're trying to look as lower cost as you can to enter the market and sell your, for example, products, just like a Polish designer, small Polish designer. Also, there's a good thing about the SaaS advantages, that this is out of the box, so you have all the integrations, with example, with eBay, with Allegro, and everything like that. And you can do it like from the scratch only with 1 week. It's a very fast, quick start for the startups. Also, of course, you don't need to think about the infrastructure, you don't need to think about the full development process, about procedures and anything. You're only selling the products with your new backend and cool link on the website. But there's also some kind of the disadvantages of SAS, because like you have those features that are based in this software. So not in every SAS you can actually add new features. Like in our situation, there was those situation that the client could buy new features for the system, but there are also SAS other platforms that they doesn't have those possibilities. So you have only those features that they are based in your like service, and also you are strictly connected with only one vendor. Actually, you can't change those vendor, because this is only company that you're producing this SAS for you. And also one big disadvantage is also you can't actually integrate with other services. You can do actually only this thing that API is correct for, or for example, there is some kind of integration for it. And this is also big disadvantages. But there was some kind for us, the migration challenge, that also each of you will have when you're trying to connect Magento with other SAS to move the products. First of all, the only way to do it is, of course, using CSV XML files, but the main thing is the web service. So you take all data from the web servers, the imports, clients, and also the products. This is the only way. And this is like the IT ways, because you've got them objects, models, and everything. The other thing with the challenge is different representation of the product types. This problem is also when you're choosing the imports from the SQL server or from the other database. You need to change some kind of the products, because in one system there are only simple products with some attributes with the sizes. In other system, there's some kind of group products, and you need to like find a way how to this product types map inside the Magento. There's also huge amount of data that can, for example, all the images can weigh about 100 gigabytes, so you need to think also about it. And the main disadvantages of the importing from the SAS are client passwords. Actually, I don't know if there is some kind of the API that they are providing the hash password for the client, but like I think in 99% it's not possible to import the hash password for the client. So in the new system there are no password actually. Then, of course, the orders history, the account balances, etc., the refunds, RMA, there's a lot of things that you need to think about importing things from the SaaS. And also, last thing, before the switching live, of course, very important thing, creating web rewrites. This is actually quite a problem when you have, for example, 15,000 products, 20,000 products, or some kind of the huge amount of categories. This can be quite not easy to do. Okay, and how we done it? This is a question. We was thinking about a lot of this process, how to do it right, how to do it correct. Of course, it was a lot of time of spending to do it, a lot of fights. So we decided to use something that is called continuous imports. Last year we were talking about continuous deployment, continuous integration, etc. This year we're saying about continuous imports. So this is some kind of the different way considering the imports than like standard way. The standard way is you've got the database and you're importing, for example, 2 hours before going live, you're making the last import with all things that you have prepared. But when you're thinking about the SaaS, it's some kind of thing it's impossible to do because there's a huge amount of data that you need about like 1 day or half a day to import all order history, to import all the products, etc. And actually you can't do it because this is live environment. So I don't know if there's some kind of client that will say for him, like this shop will be down for 2 days. It's impossible. So that's why we decided to create the continuous imports. So as you see, run it as many times as you want to have update, for example, from last day, from last week products. So each moment when you run the continuous imports, you need to have the correct database in the same position than on the production. But so. And of course, using the continuous integration, you need to have references before old products and the new products, old categories and new categories, to make it correct, updated. And also, one big advantages of the continuous imports is that, for example, imports from 1 day only orders took about 15 seconds. It's not like full import, like full orders. And also, another thing that your client can actually work on the production database on your new Magento. So you can see how the orders looks like, how new products looks like, and everything like that. Okay. But of course, sounds simple. It's very easy to do, of course. I don't know, I know that, but it's not actually. The problem is that API of a lot of systems has got a lot of bugs. For example, in a lot of SaaS systems, I'm talking actually about one SaaS system, there are no attributes in API. The actually attributes are text values under the products. It's not actually like in the Magento FV. It's not a model. It's only like the text, and you need to find a way how to map, for example, for those products. And the problem is that, for example, the same attribute, like from the logical thinking, has got the different name in the Magento in the SaaS. So, for example, there was shoe size with the small s, shoe size with the big S, shoe size with no space between. I need to find some kind of the mapping to find all those situations. There are also no attribute sets actually, so you don't know if this is a shoe, this is a t-shirt, this is a coat. You need to find a way how to create from the scratch the attribute set. And also, of course, what I was saying before, there are no configurable products, so you need to find a way how to find those small attributes to find the correct sizes. Of course, the sizes it was like EU36 with space and without space. For Magento, this is the same value, but for the before platform, it was not. Also, there was no categories actually in the API, so the products was connected to the many items. So parsing the many items, we needed to find like what's the actually category of those products. And also, for example, designers was not as an attribute in the product, but was actually the place in the menu. So it was also like the thing to fight with. And also sometimes we saw that API was returning wrong data. So for example, we had attribute heel height for skirt. In the backend everything was okay filled, but for example in the API, you are receiving those kind of the values and you need to find out how to delete it or how to make some kind of the test to find that your data is correct. It's not like it's broken. Also, considering the continuous imports, the API is slow, so that's why you need to find a way how to do it fast, like making small partitions of the data, because when you're considering the API, it's impossible to import all data in, for example, 1 hour. You need to make a small portions and update it as fast as you can. So full product imports took hours before the continuous integration, continuous imports. So we found a way how to do it. Of course, it's like maybe it's obvious, but it was a big problem that we needed to find a lot of mappings between the products from the IAIshop and between products in Magento. So for example, many items we needed to map as the categories, the text values to the attributes with a lot of parsing, looking for different values, the same values, different spelled, and a lot of things. And also from the many, we needed to find the attribute sets. It's also not so obvious. From the warehouses SKU, it was an attribute. We needed to find the simple products for example, shoes, as a like simple products of the configurable production. Also, data normalization was a quite big issue, as I said, with those spelling problems, with spaces, and a lot of things. Yeah, it was a lot of work to do. Then, of course, what I said before, you don't have the password hash for the users. So actually, you can't figure out what was the password in the system from you are moving the platform. So that's why we needed to find the recover policy to send, for example, mail for the clients that the system has changed. Right now, you need to, for example, recover the password. And also, in many systems, the email is not a login. So if, for example, you have 5 clients with the same email, but the different login, you need to merge them down to have only one, and you need to communicate to the clients that, that it was an issue, that right now you've got only one account in your system. And of course, you need to find the verification of customers, because what we found in the platform is actually that API of the customers was sending to us a lot of addresses. The problem was that API is having in the database each address for each order that the client ordered. So we had, for example, for some clients, a lot of addresses, and it was quite, we needed to find a way to how to delete it, of course, like looking for the same addresses. And quite funny was when we found out that orders API was not sending data incrementally by date. Like from my side, this is very, very correct that you have orders in place by the date. No, in the IAIshop, it was by email with some kind of the number inside the email. So the problem was that we couldn't incrementally import those orders. We needed to have some kind of the proxy that was getting the orders. We needed to change the generation of the incremental ID to make it right, because the orders are still updated to Magento before all statuses on the system are still changed. So the thing, of course, what I'm saying is about the imports before. There's a moment when you need to go live and you're changing the SaaS platform to Magento. And of course, we always saying, do the checklist 5 days before, 10 days before, 15 days before, but have all things that they are in your mind, that you will have like thinked, and you are well prepared to do it. Then something you can do actually is to switch to DNS to another provider, because in many SaaS, the DNS hosting are also from the SaaS platform, so actually you can change the IP addresses or TTL. This is the cache limit for the domain, so you need to move it to another servers and try to find all the IPs that you're using your SaaS platform and updated it to your new DNS. Then you can change the TTL of the DNS, for example, for 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. So before the launch, when you change the domain, IP addresses for the domain, the new website will switch on. Then, before the launch, few minutes before, you need to final data sync. So for example, updated those orders and those products that they were, for example, updated in the 3 hours before launch, 2 hours before launch, and also, of course, the clients. You need to do it before because after the midnight, for example, those clients actually, if they had an account before system, they couldn't log in the new system. And of course, the production switch should be made using the scripts, not like the thinking, the checklist, but the scripts to make it as fast as you can. But I think some kind of the points are obvious for the developers, but I'm only saying that this is really important considering the final data imports.
Yeah, a few things about the infrastructure and how you deal with that and the full development process. I mean, the development doesn't last 2 weeks. It was months to move the one platform to another. So we had to have some kind of the process and quality assurance, of course, including the continuous imports. And this is just one slide reminding you what we have thought about and talked here last year. You know, continuous integration, having different environments, all with automated tests, with automated, you know, functional and browser tests, peer review and stuff like that. And you do that as a process. So you can, by one click, deploy to production or to your test servers, and you don't worry about, you know, that something may go wrong because you have already tested that. This is really important to have that. Also, the continuous imports running, including the inside this process. And if you're not using continuous integration yet, then I encourage you to start from tomorrow, maybe. Talking about the infrastructure, for this customer, we decided to go for the cloud hosting. And this full continuous integration and deployment means much more when you have a cloud deployment on the other side, because you are not deploying to one server only, but you have to deploy to the full stack of servers. And you have to automate that, because it's impossible to deliver to, I don't know, 10 servers by hand. So the full cloud deployment is also included in that process. We just do one click and have the production version in the cloud. We thought about which cloud provider to go. I mean, it was obvious for us to go for a cloud, but we were investigating which provider to use. I had some great experience with Amazon Cloud for example, Angry Birds shop, and it was working pretty well. I know the advantages and disadvantages very well. One of the key points which was hurting us in Amazon, also in other projects, was that it was quite hard to get a support. And basically, you are responsible as a provider to support your own machines. And in this, for this customer, we didn't want to do that. We wanted to have the support on the cloud hosting side. This way, and because of that, we tried to use Octawave. And this is a really great Polish cloud hosting company. And we got, fortunately, we got somebody from the cloud, Octawave Cloud, here with us. And I will ask him to just say 2-3 words about it because it's really interesting for you.
Hi, this is the point when where we are enter. They are just looking for the very flexible environment. As my colleague said, they need to be sure they will have possibility to build 1 server or 10 or even 15 by and someone will support them. And they are choosing the Octawave because we have that possibility, and we have a very great technical support, very how to say it, very experienced. Yes, this is the word what I'm looking for. Very experienced for integration many systems. So if you will have any questions, just ask us, and we will help you.
What is also worth saying that we have proven last few weeks that their support is actually working as they are advertising. It's not so common. And also that Mostrami project is the biggest one in the Polish cloud environment.
Okay, and few words about the environment of the infrastructure. We are using Varnish in the front. In all projects, we use the Varnish in the front. We've got the scalable application servers with the PHP FPM, with all Redis caches and a lot of things. We've got the CDN for the content delivery network for the images. Also, we've got the Solar server for search, and of course the Redis server to have the sessions between the scalable instances. And we use also the Percona MySQL to keep data inside the database. Okay. Do you have any questions about it?
We are still 5 minutes ahead. We got a special time for questions for you, so please use it.
No, actually, we were updating still the products because the description was changing at the time, the title was changing, the prices, the stocks, the category connections, a lot of things was changing on the import side. So we needed to check each time the product has changed in the new environment, so Magento and the old. So that's why we still needed to find the difference between the products from the IAIshop and the Magento to find like the correct things. Of course, this is taking a lot of CPU load and the database selects and imports, but in that way we are sure that the values are the same in old system and the new system. We had a policy that the products they are inserted in Magento, they don't have the reference to old system, they are not considered with the import script. So for example, if the product in the new system had ID from the old system, it was updating from the old system to the new system. It was the policy. But if there were a lot of new products not put it to the old system and they were not updated, they were not deleted, and etc. Okay, we were quite lucky with the rewrites because the URLs was generated with the ID of the old category and ID with the old product. So we use actually the Snowden extension. It's quite nice with the 404 handling and the regex looking of the something inside the URL. And using it, we actually it's very fast. We're not using the core URL rewrites for it because you need to generate for each product, for each category, a lot of URLs. We're using the regex to find the old category and old category ID and product ID and putting it to the new URL taken from the core URL rewrites. There was some kind of thing, but not all data was inside it. That was the problem, and especially you need to look out because, like, also this is like they've got two languages, and the IAIshop, sometimes the arrays with the values are put in the different way. So, for example, on 0, there is Polish, and in other object there is in English on 0, first element of the array. So you need to find out how to find that this is correct English translation, Polish translation of the products. Okay, so if you have a question, just like find us on in the hall, and have a nice Meet Magento in Warsaw. Be here next year. Thank you very much, guys, for listening. Have a nice day. Bye.